Hello and welcome back to another reaction. In this occasion, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Season 3, Episode 16. Yes, last time we got a couple of episodes that were connected between each other. And it was a fascinating look on the possible friendship between Zuko and Sokka. And it was something I wanted to see from the moment that Zuko started to doubt his own loyalty towards the Fire Nation. And it honestly surpassed every single thing that I could imagine. Why I said this? First, I thought it was just going to be just run-of-the-mill rescue the father mission and nothing else. Especially during the first episode, it was, I'm not going to say underwhelming, but I want to say kind of to par with my expectation. Okay, we're going to rescue. We're going to see how Zuko and Sokka behave under pressure and all of that, and that's what it delivered. But what really surprised me was the next episode. Was episode 15. My God, that was such an amazing episode for all the things that were surrounding these two. Because now in the first one we kind of focus on Sokka, and in the second one we focus on Zuko. Why I said this? Because the majority of the psychological and emotional baggage that Zuko has was kind of portrayed in those 20 something minutes that we got of the episode 15. It was understandably amazing because, again, it gave us a perspective of villains, of what I consider only villains. A perspective that was kind of initiated during the beach episode that we saw, I don't know, like 10 or 7 episodes ago. I don't exactly remember the number of the episode. And it gave us a different perspective. It gave us a much deeper appreciation of characters, especially characters that doesn't have much dialogue with them outside of that beach episode. We got a lot of presence from Azula, we got a lot of presence from Zuko, but we didn't get a lot of presence outside, again, that beach episode of Mai and Ty Lee. And this was fascinating because, again, with so little time, the showrunners gave us something deeper for these two characters. Ty Lee might not be as, I don't want to say, well, yes, not as intelligent as Azula or as Mai or as brave as any of these, but she knows what she needs to do. As some of you mentioned in your comments, that saying that yes, Ty Lee was not as brave as Mai, because Mai initiated everything, but she certainly took the opportunity, because Azula, what she did was just take her away from something that she loved, in this case the circus, something that gave her freedom, and it was dragged to this war, and we don't know exactly what else, because yeah, she's perhaps part of the nobility, so now she needs to attend balls or do some boring nobility stuff and all of that. So it's understandable that she's not happy. She's following orders because, well, she's scared of Azula, understandably, but now, given the opportunity, she just ran away, or tried to run away in this case. Again, it's a fascinating story, and yes, I think I missed a lot of stuff in my last episode. But anyway, I don't think you're here to hear me rambling about last week's episode. I guess you're here to watch my reactions. So first, let me just remind you that if you enjoy the content of the channel, please consider a subscription and turn on notifications so you can get up to date with whatever we're doing with the channel. If you enjoy the video, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment so I know what you think about my reaction, my commentary, or the video in general. My Patreon is there. I have been very active down there, but it's still there. And yes, I think that's it. I have nothing else to say, but let's just cut all of these and watch the episode, shall we? Okay, I'm back. I just watched several times this episode. Again, We got, as I said during the presentation, in the last two episodes, we got this kind of analysis of the previous bad guys that I think it will be more appropriate to call them antagonists. In this case, Mei and Ty Lee. They were kind of forced to follow Azula, and that's why they kind of betrayed her in the end, because yeah, that was not friendship founded on love or kinship or anything like that, but it was more on fear from Azula, and since they found something greater than that fear, that's what happened. Why am I connecting to this? Again, this episode functioned as a nice character study. The plot is kind of run-of-the-mill plot. It's just your revenge story. That is the episode. It's just your revenge story. That's it. It's not that uncommon. It's not that completely new. Even with the twist in the end that Katara didn't fulfill said revenge isn't something new. We have seen this in several occasions. One of the examples that comes to mind is one of the decisions that you can take in Grand Theft Auto 4 when Nico confronts, it was Draco, I think? Or Draco? I don't remember the other guy, but one of the decisions that you can take is to kill him, but the other one is to forgive him. Because yeah, he's miserable. And this is something that we see here, that in the end, this person that Katara wanted revenge against was just a miserable person, an empty person, a person that really is just there. He is, in the grand scheme of things, irrelevant. He's nothing, he's empty. And this is important, obviously. This is important in the end because Katara sees how pathetic this person really is. That he's willing to sacrifice his own mother just to save his own ass. So that speaks volumes of how pathetic this being is. Because yeah, in the moment there he has power. He had power being the commander of these Southern Crowns, I think it was. He was a force to be reckoned with. He was important, he has people below him, and he was the best in his mind. But after he lost his position, after he retired, he just became what he really is. Without power, he just became this little pathetic man that nobody cares about, not even his own mother likes him that much. So that speaks against volumes of how pathetic this little being is. But if you remember, because I tend to kind of go way away from the point I'm trying to make at the beginning, what I said about it is that yes, the plot of the episode is normal, is nothing to be exciting about. But that doesn't mean this is a bad episode. Why? Because this episode focuses on the characters. We have our characters. And I don't remember the saying that well. But the most important part of a story will always be the characters. If your characters work, you could have the most generic plot that you could imagine and make it amazing. And with bad characters, you could have the most amazing plot you could ever imagine, but be a weak story thanks to the characters, if they are generic characters. That's why the new trilogies of Star Wars doesn't work, because their characters are pathetic, are weak. Rey as a main character is just a blank slate. She has nothing. She is just there so you can portray your own image onto her. And that is not appealing. Perhaps it's appealing when you're a kid, but after that it's just boring. It's uninteresting. That's why Luke is so interesting, because he is a character. And even when you're a kid, you understand that. And this is why this episode works so well, because we have incredible characters. We have passion in said characters. From the voice actor or actress in this case, and how the voice actress just portrays Katara and her suffering. It's amazing. And this is something I always tend to forget to mention, because yes, when we have these dramatic moments is when the actors are amazing. They are amazing at portraying said emotions, the betrayed, the sadness, the anger, and all of these combined. It's unbelievably good. It's unbelievably well done. And I like it. But obviously, the voice actors are just a part of this equation, because we have the writers, the directors, everybody that contributes to this is just amazing. Because come on, you need all of these elements combined to create something like this, to create a character like Katara, to create a character like Zuko. And yes, I have been speaking about Zuko in the last 4 or 5 episodes because he deserved it. Again, this is kind of a way of portraying Zuko in a more benign light. When he was with Aang, he was kind of chill, trying to be more like Uncle Iroh, and trying to say, okay, we need to calm, we need to think, we need to do something else. We have our funny moments here and there, but because it wasn't as, I don't know, I don't want to say as dangerous, because yeah, there were a lot of danger there, but kind of more chill. Then we have with Sokka, which is more silly, more awkward Zuko, in which obviously we have another perspective of Zuko, not just the overconfident teenager, because yeah, like it or not, Aang kind of looks up to a lot of people and is more easily impressed because he's still a kid. Even if he's wise beyond his age, he's still a kid from time to time. So yeah, that's why he kind of respects Zuko more. Then of course, again, we have Sokka in this case, as I was saying. It's more of the same age range. They are kind of awkward because they don't know how to communicate between each other, because they say, okay, this dude is not admiring me, but he doesn't hate me. It's a different perspective. And I like it because it makes a fun episode, even with the perspective of this jail, of being in prison and trying to rescue the father. And yes, we have our serious moments, we have our funny moments, but it was a different perspective than what we saw with Aang. And in this episode, we got a more serious one. We got a full-on commitment. I want her to forgive me, and I kind of want to give her something so she can forgive me. Because yeah, this is the group that tried to save the world, so I need to be on the good side of everybody. And that's what he does. He's very serious. He's very threatening, trying to say, okay, let's please Katara because in this way she can forgive me. It's a different perspective once again, and it makes sense from who is he going with. Again, Aang liked him a lot more from the beginning. Sokka liked him or respect him, or it was kind of in the middle. And then of course we have Katara, who hated him. So yeah, the perspective is coming from different types of pairs, different type of dynamics that we have here, and that is what I like, because again, it's the same character, in this case Zuko, but put in different situations, and it works because it feels organic. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like, oh yes, he's never going to behave like that. No, it feels natural, like kind of natural progression, because you can't believe that this is Zuko behaving differently depending on the person. And that is something that I really enjoyed about this 4 last episode. I cannot wait to see how is he going to react to Toph, that is part of the main group. So yes, I'm looking forward to that. Moving on, and before I go ahead and try to predict what is going to happen, let's return to this episode. We got Zuko and his characterization. Perhaps I was wrong to say that this is character growth, is more character development. It's more character exploration, I think is the best word to describe these last few 4 episodes. And it's interesting to explore the character of Zuko. Now, we kind of have to go and see how Katara develops here. We know Katara for being the mature one, for being this middle of the ground, for being the voice of reason. Kind of saying, okay, yeah, he did wrong, but come on, you need to forgive him, and all of that. And this is how everybody sees her. That's this person that say, okay, Katara cannot hate anybody, as Sokka said. Obviously, we got a comedic side in that, but yes, it's understandable. Everybody sees her like that, except Zuko, because Zuko betrayed her trust. And as I said in the beginning of this season, it's completely understandable why Katara is behaving like this. You can give your trust to somebody, but if said somebody break that trust, it's so hard to amend it. Because you cannot trust somebody who already betrayed you, even if he regrets his previous decision, even if he did it because there was another circumstance there. It is still hard to trust somebody as much as you did before. It needs a lot of effort and a lot of time to fix it. And this is something that is being portrayed in this cartoon. Katara is still hating, but since he saw Zuko being on her side and trying to understand just what hate does to you, because it's obviously not only the fact that Zuko helped her in every shape, way, or form in this episode, because that is important too. But my guess is kind of the realization that hate goes nowhere. That hate, you will end up like this pathetic little man. You will end up like this previous high commander that is now in a very small house, in a very small farm, that even his mother doesn't like him. Yeah, it's pathetic. So my guess is a combination of everything that goes from Katara hating or highly disliking Zuko to kind of forgiving, the beginning of the forgiveness, which is a huge step in the right direction. And the fact that she forgive this pathetic little man is very on point with Katara's philosophy. Obviously being fed by Aang's philosophy. Because again, Aang is a pacifist. I think there is no other way or any other best way to portray that Aang, but as a pacifist. Aang doesn't like violence. Aang will have preferred to be an avatar in peacetime. That's what Aang will have preferred. But unfortunately, he was pushed into this war. Thanks to his decisions, thanks to the destiny, thanks to whatever you want to call it. But it was pushed towards this war. And this brings me to my final point. Yes, I know I talk a little bit of Katara because honestly there is not much for me to say other than what is being portrayed in the screen. We saw that advancement. We saw it. I just need to kind of analyze it a little bit, why I think these decisions were made. With Aang being thrown into this world, returning to Aang Point, it's going to be very difficult to face the Fire Lord. Because I only see one option. Perhaps I'm not that well educated. Perhaps there are several other options that I cannot see. But the only options I see is to defeat the Fire Lord completely. And by completely is either killing him or lock him down in a place that nobody can make contact with him. Nobody. Literally nobody. And the High Generals need to be removed. You need to purge the Fire Nation of this idea of complete supremacy above the rest. And that is going to take time. But obviously I don't see Aang being capable of doing that. So how this is going to be resolved? I have a lot of faith into this anime. Well, this animation. Sorry, it's so good I consider it anime because honestly, most of the Western cartoons are not good. Like 99% or 90% of the cartoons are not that good. They are funny, but they have no this psychological analysis that I could give to this animation. There are a few exceptions, of course. There are exceptions, as everything. But yeah, it's very similar to an anime, a very good quality anime. Anyway, returning to this point. I don't know how this is going to be developed, but I have faith because so far, and we are going into season 3, so far, everything that is being correctly portrayed in this animation has happened. They have not made major mistakes that makes you think, okay, this doesn't make sense, or this wouldn't be happening because this character is like this. No, nothing like that has happened, at least not as far as I can understand. So I have faith in how this is going to end. How? I have no idea, but I am sure that it's going to make sense when I see it. Now, let's speak a little bit about small details here and there. I love how in the moment they went after the assassin of the mother, everything turns out to be serious. There were no jokes, there were no funny business. It was just a straightforward story because it needed to be like that. It needed to be in that serious tone. But obviously that doesn't change the fact that the rest of the show cannot be funny. And we have a lot of jokes, which I'm thankful, especially with Sokka and Suki. A lot of S names. Anyway. How they are... Yes, they are still horny teenagers. It's completely understandable. I mean, come on. And it's funny. Because the implications that you got there. Obviously, when you're a kid, you kind of understand what they are doing. But now that you're an adult, you understand even better what they are about to do. Which is, again, funny. It's funny. And all the little jokes, especially the dialogue between Sokka and Aang, it's hilarious, it's funny, and I like those little details. And especially, and obviously, apart from that funny side, the first fight between, in this episode, between Azula and Zuko, it's amazing. And I love the little details in the expression of the characters, that now Azula starts to understand the growth of Zuko. I still don't think he is in the same level of Azula. I still think Azula is way too freaking awesome as managing her fire bending. She's way too strong. But I'm starting to understand that the gap between Azula and Zuko is starting to reduce. And that is something I love. Another small detail that I like is that perhaps Katara doesn't hate Zuko. She dislikes him a lot. Again, completely understandable. But the fact that she tried to save him because it was her hand that saved Zuko speaks something else. It speaks about that perhaps she is not capable of really hating anybody, as Sokka said. So therefore she can forgive. And this is an example that we saw in the end. Obviously it took a lot of effort in Zuko's part, but it was there. So there are a lot of small details that speak about how Katara really is. And I don't think those are accidents. I think that was put on purpose. Now, I think I really exhausted the topic of this one. I thought it was going to be a very short one, but no, of course not. I could not do short videos or short analysis. But anyway, yes, let me just remind you that if you enjoy the content of the channel, please consider a subscription and turn on notifications so you can get up to date with whatever we're doing with the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment so I know what you think about my reaction, about my commentary, or the video in general. And the link of my Twitter is in the description below and alongside with the Patreon. So yeah, I think that's it. I hope you enjoy it, and I have nothing else to say, but thank you for your attention and see you on the next one. Bye! Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, give it a like so the algorithm from YouTube will help me out.
and check my other videos, share them, and also why not subscribe to my channel and join this community. And as always, I want to thank you for your attention, your likes, and even your dislikes, your comments, which is something I always look forward to read. And yeah, once more, thanks and see you on the next one.